Alrighty, let's have another go. We're going to be doing a slightly more complicated word question, and this is going to sort of finish off our bearings. So Patrick flies a light plane from Colcurry to Longreach, a distance of 495 kilometers on a bearing of 129 degrees true. Then continues due east to Rockhampton, a further 639 kilometers. Patrick then returns directly to Colcurry. Determine the distance and bearing of Patrick's return journey. Alright, so let's just start off with getting some labels. So I'm just going to simplify Colcurry, Longreach, and Rockhampton to just being C, L, and R. So we start at C, and then it says we travel on a bearing of 129 degrees true. So north, 129. And we go along this leg for 495 kilometers. And after that, we reach Longreach. From Longreach, we continue along due east. East is, if this is north, then east is going to be to the right. And we're going to continue this way on a further, 639 kilometers. And that takes us to Rockhampton. And then Patrick returns directly to Colcurry. So from this spot, he then turns around and goes home. Now, it's often in moments like this where we know we want to work out this, which let's call it D for distance, and we go, well, we don't have enough information. And that's actually very true. We don't have enough information. Now, potentially there is a way we could solve for it, but at this point, we might not know what to do. Biggest thing is to draw a right angle triangle. We've got to draw one somewhere. So we've got a few choices. Where could we draw it? Well, this line here is an east line, which means it's already at a right angle to our north line. So if I just extend the north line a little bit and extend the east line a little bit, you'll see we get a right angle right in the corner. And once again, we get a similar picture to what we saw in the last one, which is we've got this little angle in here. So let's redraw this little triangle and just solve it, meaning let's work out its two sides. So this is the little triangle just down in the corner. And let's just call its two sides X and Y. And we can work out this right angle here by saying it's going to be 180 minus 129, which leaves us with 51 degrees. And that's what goes here. Alrighty, so now we've got enough information to find both X and Y. So let's do, we can do both of them. So just using SOHCAHTOA. So we've got the hypotenuse here, we've got the adjacent here, and we've got the opposite. So let's quickly just work out the values of X and Y. I've just moved it down here to give myself a bit more space. So X is going to be equal to, well, it's going to be to do with sine. So sine of theta equals opposite over hypotenuse. Sine of 51 equals X over 495 times both sides by 495. And that gives me X. We're going to do a similar thing for Y. So I've worked out X. Now to work out Y, we're going to use cosine because it's to do with A and H. So cos theta equals A over H. And we're going to repeat the process. Alrighty, so I found both X and Y. Now, on this picture, X is this little line down here and Y is this little line down here. And now what we can do is the big triangle. So I'm just going to outline it. It's this triangle here. Okay, that's the triangle I'm now interested in because it does have a right angle. And now that I know what X and Y are, I now have the two long sides of the two short sides. Y is one of the short sides, and X plus 639 is going to be the other one. So let's draw down that triangle. Alrighty, So this is the picture we now get. And we can actually work out the distance here. We need to know what x and y are, which I've got from up here. So I can replace x with 384.69, and I can replace y with 311.51. And now I can work out that the total length of this line is going to be these two added together, which is 1023.69. Alrighty, so I've now worked out all of the information here, and now all I need to do is use Pythagoras' theorem. So c squared is equal to a squared plus b squared. And in this case, I'm just going to make this a, this b, and this c. So we get d squared is equal to 311.51 squared plus 1023.69 squared. Take the square root of both sides, stab into a calculator, and our answer is, this gives us 1070.04 kilometers, or after rounding to the nearest kilometer, 1070 kilometers. So that answers the first part of the question, which is, what is the distance traveled? So that's how far. The other part of the question did ask also for us to work out the bearing. So how do we work out the bearing? Well, I like to think of it visually. So from Rockhampton, we are traveling in this direction. So because we want a bearing, it means we're going to want to measure this angle to here. But as you'll notice, that's actually quite a big angle. We can't actually measure that angle. We can measure this little angle. And this angle is just 270 degrees. So whatever that little angle in here is, this little one, we just add that to 270 degrees, and that's going to give us our total bearing. That little angle is actually this angle in this triangle. That is the same corner from this one. So we can just work out this angle. So if we label this one theta, now we could use any of our trig functions, because we now know A, B, and C. We know all of the sides of the triangle. However, I'm going to be using, in this case, I'm going to be using to find theta. I'm going to be using, the opposite and the adjacent. So I'm going to be using tan. So tan theta equals opposite over adjacent. Tan theta, remember we don't know what theta is, we're looking for it. Opposite is 311.51 over the adjacent, which is 10,023.69. Move tan to the other side, make it tan negative 1. And this gives us our angle, 16.92. Let's round that to 17 degrees. And so the bearing, remember, that's not our bearing. It's 270, because remember, we're actually measuring from here all the way around. It's 270 plus that little angle we just worked out. So our bearing is actually going to be equal to 270 plus 17 degrees, which is 287 degrees true. And so we now know both the distance, d, and our bearing that we took. Alrighty. Can be quite tricky, does take a bit of time. Make sure you draw lots of triangles. Good luck. See you in the next one. Goodbye.